So, I have a question. Why are so many witches educators? Or educators witches? It's not a question I actually ever thought I would be asking on camera, and I'm pretty sure those of you who know me never thought you would hear me ask it. And I didn't really notice until I saw the pattern for myself. In in classrooms and staff lounges, from Montessori classrooms to college lecture halls, and then later on in circles and rituals, in quiet conversations that feel just as sacred. Is that coincidence? Or is there something deeper tying these roles together? I think there is. There's three things, in fact. Let's talk about them. Let's think about what happens when a teacher's day begins. They walk into a room full of people and they set an intention. Today we're going to learn this or practice that or discover something new. And teachers, aides, and paraprofessionals, we pair up with our students or we ready ourselves in class to guide, to prompt, to reinforce those goals. It's a shared rhythm. Words spoken, symbols are written, call and response, energy rising, and what we do together changes the shape of the room. Tell me that doesn't sound like magic. Every lesson plan is a kind of incantation. Every classroom is a kind of circle. The formula is the same. Intention plus action plus patience equals transformation. Think back to an educator who changed your life. We all have them. Didn't that feel like a spell being cast? Educators are casting spells every day. Just call them lessons. Witches keep books of shadows. Teachers keep lesson plans, binders, piles of notes scrolled in the margin. Paraprofessionals and teachers' aides keep their own records too. Behavioral logs, prompt sheets, data tracking, little notebooks full of little strategies that worked and strategies that didn't. On the surface, they look different. One is a grimoire and the other is a gradebook or a clipboard. But look closer. Both are living records. They're messy. They're full of experiments that worked and experiments that failed. They're not just instructions, they're history. And what do both witches and educators know? That no knowledge is wasted. How many times have you bombed a lesson or sat through one and still carried the memory of it, learning from what went wrong? A failed spell teaches as much as a successful one. A botched lesson plan or a strategy that fell flat, well, they become reminders of what to try differently next time. That's what makes knowledge sacred. It's not disposable. It's not just about the outcomes. It's about honoring the process, keeping the record, and passing it on. Educators and witches share that reverence for the written word, for memory, for keeping wisdom alive. Isn't that the real magic? Turning mistakes into wisdom? Educators nurture minds, witches nurture spirit. Both roles require patience, compassion, and a willingness to see potential where others only see limits. But here's the other side. Both roles have been branded dangerous. Teachers throughout history have been accused of corrupting the youth, spreading dangerous ideas, or teaching truths the powerful didn't want spoken. And teachers, aides, and paraprofessionals, too, get dismissed and underestimated until people realize that we are often the ones quietly making inclusion work, the ones giving support to keep students learning, and that can unsettle systems that aren't built to adapt. Witches were accused of the very same thing. Practicing outside the lines, empowering others in ways the establishment couldn't control. So ask yourself, why do the same accusations echo across centuries? It's no accident the two overlap. They share the same double identity, the nurturer and the rebel, the healer and the challenger. And here's the irony. The world needs both. We need the nurturers who protect and encourage, and we need the challengers who question and provoke. Think about the educator who pushed you to think harder, dig deeper, challenge authority. Weren't they the dangerous ones? In the best possible way. Educators and witches, they stand at that intersection. And it's why so many of us find ourselves living in both identities, even if we don't always say it out loud. Maybe it isn't strange at all that witches show up in classrooms. Maybe it isn't some odd overlap or funny coincidence. Maybe it's resonance. Because educators, teachers and teachers' aides, paraprofessionals alike, they already live what witches believe. That knowledge is sacred, that the cycles matter, and that the work we do today echoes far beyond us. We live and breathe in those liminal spaces between wonder and mystery. And for every person in the craft who fancies themselves a guide or a seer, one truth remains. There are no gurus among witches, only teachers. That's not just the season of the witch. That's the reason of the witch. Okay, so now I turn it back to you. Think of that educator from earlier, the one who left a mark on you. Wasn't that its own kind of magic?